This is The Mud Peddlers, a podcast where two nerdy ceramic artists share the behind the scenes of their worlds of clay. We are your hosts, Lindsey M Dillon.
And I am Donte of Earth Nation.
This week on The Mud Peddlers, it is time for our yearly review.
It's cold now.
It is really cold. We lit some candles in the studio because it's cold and rainy and we need to feel cozy.
She's trying to get me in the mood. Don't believe her.
Oh, yeah. I'm just, you know what? Abel called me and she was like, Lindsey, I need you to fluff Donte.
Can you take care of it? I don't want to do it. If you could do it, that'd be great. Because he gets home and he hounds me, dog.
No, I mean, that's just a little outside my purview. So, you gotta pay me for that. Especially since you call me your sister now.
Game of Thrones did it.
Oh, God. Oh, God. So, what we are not doing is that. What we are doing is reviewing what goals that we had in this last year and kind of checking in on what goals we met, what goals we didn't meet, how we feel about all of that.
Oh, man.
I took so many notes. So last night I sat down and I listened to our 2022 year review.
Oh.
I was on the wheel trimming. And I went back and forth between taking notes and like listening to the podcast and trimming. So I was like listening to the podcast as I was trimming. And then when something came up, I was like, oh yeah, I'll write that down.
You're hyper productive this week, I've noticed.
I am
very productivo.
I'm trying. I had another fight with the Big Sad.
Okay.
I had this is unrelated. I'm kind of related. It sort of related.
They cycle. They go up and down.
Yeah. But I had this really shitty moment the other day. I glazed like 120 cups in like a day. I was like super fucking proud of myself, very excited. And I had this intrusive thought at the end of the day that I was like, doesn't matter, you're gonna be poor anyway. And it was like, oh, that's sad. That's a very sad, intrusive thought. Don't think about that. I had a lot of anxiety about finances, but I've been doing a little better.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's your intrusive thought?
That I have many intrusive thoughts.
It just told you you're poor?
It told me, yeah. Essentially the thought was like, oh, it doesn't matter what you do, you're gonna be poor and insecure anyway, like no matter what you do.
I'd punch that person if they
were... I know, please punch
that person.
Punch my internal dialogue, would you? Because it's been a lot of that and it's really annoying.
Give me a little clam dip.
What?
It's like teabagging for girls.
Oh, clam dip!
Yeah.
I love that! Oh my god. All right. Well, since I have done the things of listening to our 2022 year review podcast and our 2023 mid-year review podcast, I have many notes.
Oh, okay.
For the both of us.
I also have notes.
Oh, do you?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was about to be shocked.
I wanted you to be excited for a split second.
I really was.
I wanted you to know what it feels like to be disappointed and happy at the same time.
Why do you treat me this way? So, one of the biggest things that you mentioned last year.
Oh, me first?
Yes, we're starting with you.
Christ.
Because it's easier
All
that way
right.
for me. Because I'm the one with the notes.
That's
so
true.
I get to decide.
Oh, she has the talking stick.
Yeah, I got the talkings. I got that conch, mother.
It's true.
One of the biggest things you were talking about last year is wanting to develop more professional connections.
Okay, so last year at Ensika, I made a goal to make more professional connections with people like Amico, Clayscapes, Advancer Shelves. Advancer Shelves kind of dropped the ball, not gonna lie.
What was the deal with them? What happened with them?
I basically came up to him and I was like, I already have some of your shelves. Do you want to give me some more shelves that I can put on the channel, some like newer things, you know, if you have new products and, you know, basically like an item for exposure trade, which is what a lot of companies do with me.
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, we'll do that. And then they just never contacted me back. I feel like a lot of companies don't have a social media person. They have a person that does a job and then they
also do social media?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Kind of like in most grocery stores, there usually isn't a person who just picks up carts all day long.
Right.
They usually take a bag person or like a cashier that's not doing nothing. And then they make them pick up the stuff.
Yeah.
Unless you're really like new and on the totem pole. And then they make them into cashiers. Anyway. Because of this, I often find that if I try and collab with a company, I often do not get a response within like a month time unless it's Amico. Amico has a person that is like my contact that I talk to directly that checks our messages at least once every 2 days.
Nice.
And she's the person that really helps that kind of like social media train move along. But my main goal with getting companies kind of used to me and me used to them is to cross-pollinate so that we can grow in followers and exposure.
Yeah.
It's beneficial for both parties, right? Regardless of payment, it's the cross-pollination is really what you need to be doing for your business if you really want more eyes on your product. And so my goal was basically to get a company, say, hey, give me product, I will give you exposure, we can have a relationship, we'll see where it goes.
And you'd been doing that with Amico for a while, though, right? Like,
yes.
With going to Ensika, were you specifically wanting to be like, hey, like, I'm the person you've been working with, let's do more?
Yes,
okay.
Yes. At Ensika, I kind of acquired Clayscapes, which is great.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. So
I'm
tell our listeners about Clayscapes.
I love Clayscapes. I don't know why I've never heard of Clayscapes before I went to Ensika, but evidently the person who...
Oh, and just for some context, listeners, so Clayscapes is a ceramic supply company, and specifically, at least to my knowledge, and Clayscapes, correct me if I'm wrong, I apologize.
Yes.
But a lot of what they focus on is selling powdered glazes. So instead of like having to buy the small like pint-sized jars at like most ceramic supply stores, you can order the glaze powder and then just add water, and it's a way to basically get more glaze for less than what you would normally pay like per pint.
Money.
Yeah, a lot.
It's strange because I had never heard of Clayscapes, and Clayscapes sells a bunch of stuff. Clayscapes sells Amico glazes, and I don't know if they sell wheels, but they sell like pottery equipment and kiln shelves and kiln furniture and stuff like that. And I didn't know that for a long time. I thought they were just a glaze company. But they gave me about 6 glazes to test on the channel, and they're so good.
Yeah, I bought 2 of their glazes that I've been using. They're oh my gosh, I have it written down. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I have 2 of their glazes.
You bought a blue one, I know.
Yeah, I bought a blue, and then their desert sand is their yellow one that I absolutely love.
And it's crazy because like I like Amico, right? But Amico, what they do is they make a glaze. They put CMC gum or some type of suspension agent in there so it stays good in suspension in water, and then they make sure it's the correct thickness, and they have really good consistency. With Clayscapes, it lets you dip your foot into the glaze making world a little bit without knowing jack all about making glazes.
Yes.
They send you the powder, you mix up with water, and based on the amount of water, which they do give a recommended amount of water,
they have a recommended hydrometer reading.
Yes.
So they don't say like, yeah, for this amount, add 6 quarts of water or whatever it is. They say like, this is what the hydrometer reading should be.
Yeah, and I don't want to make this seem like a Clayscapes commercial.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I do like Clayscapes. I'm sad that I didn't come in contact with them earlier. And thank you to Tim C., who I went to Ensika with, who put me on to Clayscapes glazes, because his buddy is the one who helps run Clayscapes.
Hell yeah.
Drew, if you're listening, shout out to Clayscapes and your company. We went to dinner with them, hooked up with them a little bit, told them what I'm about. It was so good.
Can you talk about the things that you're working on with Clayscapes, or will that have to be for a future thing?
I suppose I could just say that Clayscapes has shown a little bit of interest. There's no paperwork. It's just word of mouth right now that they might want to buy some of my glazes.
Yeah, buddy.
Which is part of the reason... glaze recipes, rather.
Yeah, yeah. So basically, we would be able to, like, for the glazes that you specifically have developed, like your Laogai green or your red.
Angimon!
Angimon. That's the red? Angimon red?
No, Gara's red is my red.
Oh, Gara red. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then Angimon is my, like... flux glaze, for lack of a better term. You could put it over or anything. And then I have my Lumos, and then I have my Laogai green, and then I have my crystal glaze, and I have my base.
Basically, we would be able to buy your pre-made original recipes that you have developed. We would be able to buy them in their powdered form so that you wouldn't have to, So basically, you're having a company make your specific glazes.
Not at the moment.
Not at the moment. Yeah, it is a possibility.
Don't get too excited.
Yeah, sorry. It is a possibility that this will happen.
There's bumps in the road, and sometimes the bumps are too big to go over. It's like when you start a business, you kind of calculate everything out, and you're like, okay, this amount of material goes to this, but you don't think of like the little bits of loss that you get when you spend material and heat and things of that nature. And I had talked to somebody on Clayscapes, and I asked him, like, should I, if I'm selling my recipes to you, if that's a possibility, should I have them on glazy? And he was straight up like, no, probably not.
No.
Honestly, and it's not so much a worry that people will take them and make them, because usually if you have the ability to make your own glazes, you probably have your own glazes set anyway. You're really selling glazes to people who don't have the ability to make glazes. Most of you who buy bottled glazes, most of you, cannot make glazes. And those of you who can make glazes probably don't know how to make glazes well enough to make your own specific glazes. And if you do, you're not buying most bottled glazes.
Yeah, which is why, like, so for instance, I ended up buying the yellow from Clayscapes because I needed a yellow. I didn't want to go through the time and I know how to put together a recipe.
Yes.
But I didn't want to spend the time on finding out which recipe was the right one. Like, I wanted to go, I want that, and I want that for less than it would cost to buy in, like, a normal pint-sized bottle. And
Ease
so
of use.
It worked. Ease of use.
100%. It's another ease of use tool, right? That being said, he was just like, yeah, it's not really the people we're worried about. We're worried about the companies. Because if it turns to be popular glaze, the company's just going to, like, steal it and make their own version of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was my goal for Ensika. And I think I succeeded. Amico seems to be a good staple for my channel, but Amico doesn't. Like, I talk directly to Clayscapes, and I feel like I have a more personal connection with them. Versus Amico. Amico seems to be, like, strictly business. Like, we give you a product, make the video on it, we're good, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, that's fair. Okay, but like, I don't think Amico is ever gonna be like, come on over and have a barbecue with us at the Amico headquarters. I don't think they like me that much. I think they just realize I'm beneficial for the channel to a certain degree. Sure,
yeah.
Right, and so I think we met that goal specifically for Ensika. I will say we're going to ClayCon West.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I can make some pottery friends there.
Yeah.
Because for a while I sucked on YouTube and I was not. I was not a friendly YouTuber for a little while.
What do you mean?
Well, when I first started YouTube, I was just like, I didn't understand the etiquette of YouTube.
Oh,
you know what I mean? And so I think that put some people off. Just the energy I gave on my YouTube videos. And so I'm trying to kind of rewind that and be like, maybe I should make more connections with potters and not companies. ClayCon West itself seems to be very potter friendly instead of company friendly.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Right, so that's what my main goal at ClayCon West this time is to kind of make connections with other potters that I see or admire. You know what I mean?
I like that. I'm gonna write that down in the column.
You don't have to write it down.
I'm taking notes.
You don't have to write Donte make friends ClayCon West down.
I'm putting CCW more potter friends.
More potheads.
More potheads, yeah. So talking about Clayscapes makes me think about your other big thing, which is especially I found it interesting in the mid-year review. So that's the episode that we recorded in July or something like that of this past year.
What is it?
You were like, I'm not gonna make any more glazes.
I'm not gonna make any more glazes.
I've done a bunch, and it was funny because I think
I lied. I'm sorry.
I think by that time,
I'm sorry.
You know, I think by that time you had already made, or you were about to make, your red glaze that has become your primary red.
Yeah.
And then you have been wanting to try and develop ancient jasper. So let's check in with that. How's that been going?
It's so difficult because the result that I got from ancient copper was completely different from what
did I say? Ancient jasper?
You said ancient jasper is a glaze.
Oh.
I imagine it's the same base as well. But the glaze that I got from, and I might post it on my Instagram, on my stories or something, is completely different from what people get from ancient copper most of the time. Even Tony Hansen, the creator of Digital Fire, created a post and was like, you can make your own ancient copper, and released 3 different recipes and was like, here, there you go, just do that. And I tried them and they don't work, first of all. They don't work for me.
Okay.
He basically took Randy's Red, the original recipe, and modified it.
Okay.
And was like, there you go, ancient copper. And I tried it out, and I was like, no, not really. It doesn't really work that way. I'm gonna try to retry it. I'm gonna retry it.
Because you basically got a version, when you used ancient copper, you got a version, magical version of this ancient
I got a crystal
copper
glaze, and I'm not sure if, the bottle was different or something. But I'm looking online versus the ones that I got, and I'm like, I've never seen this result. I don't know how I got this result. I pour mine on, and that's about it. So it was extra thick, but it wasn't runny. It was good. I might try a couple more times of ancient copper, but at this point, it's become I'm going to try and recreate ancient copper. And even when I get close to it, people are like, that's not what I got. And I'm like, well, that's not what I got either. I got this. I got something completely different from you, and you say they're the same bottle of glaze, right? So I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
At this point, I've developed 2 other glazes on accident from trying to find this ancient copper glaze, and I'm not saying I'm about to give up, but I'm gonna give it 2 more months before I'm like, here, take these glazes instead.
Yeah. Got as close as you cared to get.
As close as you can get. I don't know what's up with this glaze. Because I'm telling you, the result that I got was basically a crystal glaze.
Dang, that's
A
crazy.
stable crystal glaze. And I'm sure it had Gersley borate in it, and I'm sure it had some type of black or yellow iron oxide in it, and I don't know what happened. I have no idea. But my last results were not great.
Yeah.
So I've not done that yet.
It is kind of crazy to think that this time last year, you had just got Rose and Matt Katz's series on glaze making and like the glaze materials workshop.
Yeah.
That's crazy to think how much you've done and how much you've learned in this last year.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy, dude.
The classes were really worth their money, and I meet a couple people from the classes, and they're either really friendly or they're not, basically.
Yeah.
But, like, the really friendly ones I keep on my Instagram stories.
That's so cool.
Right? And I get to talk to them, and we share information, and, you know, they have their own glazes they developed, and then I develop mine, and we share recipes, and they're super cool.
All right, so another big thing
No more Donte!
All right, okay, we want to switch.
There's
we want to do me for a bit? I got so many.
Donte
all
show
right,
over
okay,
here?
okay, all right. I'll talk about some of my things.
How about this? Last year, Lindsay, you farted and tried to kill me. How about that?
Oh God!
How about that?
For those of you who managed to watch when we went to Ensika, Donte and I like got our own room.
Greenhouse to the room.
I've always joked about how bad my intestines are, but poor Donte got to experience what heretofore only my partner had experienced. I nearly killed him. For those of you who saw the video that went up, or that I put on my Instagram stories for those brief 24 hours of embarrassed hilarity, that was something that happened. But I will say...
But indeed.
Yeah. Listening back on the episodes, I did not really have a lot of specific goals for this past year, and to be honest, I think it really shows, because...
What do you mean? You did a bunch of stuff.
I was not very focused this year, to be honest. Like, in the early part of the year, it was mostly Ceramicon.
Ceramicon was fire.
Ceramicon was so much fun.
It was so good.
Yeah. I gained so much confidence in myself putting all of that together, because I basically did nothing for like 2.5-3 weeks, but put together, like, get the writing together and get the outline and then record and film.
Has she contacted you at all?
No, I don't think Elizabeth is doing is doing Ceramicon this year. She might do it again next year, but I haven't received anything about.
Yeah, I just got worried because, you know.
Yeah.
I want to keep in contact with her.
Yeah.
She's probably busy with stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So it was a lot of Ceramicon and then Ensika. And to be honest, I had a really busy spring, like within, like,
How so?
I don't know what, like the first, 3 months of the year, I had Ceramicon, then Ensika, and then I went to Sakura-con up in Seattle. Not selling, just as, like, an attendee. And then I went on a trip to Morocco and Spain with my dad. And then I went to Fanime again as an attendee. So it was
you didn't tell me where you went.
I know, I'm sorry. You thought I died. It was the whole thing.
I knew you went to one of the two places.
Yeah.
And one of them was not out of America. I don't have any pull outside this.
Yeah.
In America, I don't know where you are.
Yeah. So it was just kind of a lot. And then over the summer, I'm basically just summarizing my year. Like, over the summer, I made the decision to not do any spring or summer updates, and just kind of try and bulk up my inventory for SAC Anime and then some of the winter stuff. But to be honest, I didn't set very specific goals, so a lot of time kind of just got frittered away.
Right.
And like, it took me 3 months to make as much inventory as I've made in the last month and a half.
Yeah, you definitely leveled up, huh?
Yeah. Like, I think the main thing that I realized is that it's easier and I think faster for me to just go okay, I'm going to make 100 cups.
Yes.
100 mugs. Instead of I'm going to make 15 teacups and 15 of this other kind of teacup, and then 20 mugs, and then 35 steins, and then 18 goblets. Yeah. It's just easier for me to just go, I'm going to make this many of this one thing. And so I'll talk about this a little bit more in our looking into 2024.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna try and look at how I set goals differently. So so basically this last year, a really good success is that I made the most that I've ever made at a convention.
Yes.
This last year.
You lucked out on the convention too. You had double table space.
Yeah, I know. I'm sad I moved now, so I'm not gonna have a double table space.
It's okay, they moved us.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe they'll give it back to you when you go back for the third round.
Maybe, I don't know. I'll ask them about it, because it was basically what happened. Is I got a table space that was essentially bisected by a gigantic 10-foot across column.
Yes.
And so I went to the staff at SAC Anime, and they were awesome. They were like, okay, yeah, no worries. Literally half of your booth is taken up by this pole, so just go ahead and expand to the next table.
Right.
So I essentially got double the table space for half the price.
They've probably done that before, too. They've probably had that same exact situation.
Yes.
And they were like, we're kind of prepared for it. Just take more table.
Yeah, that's kind of what it seemed like. So that worked out really well. That was really good to see. I've been able to kind of, I'll have to double check, but I don't think I've raised my prices this year. So that's something that I think I'm going to go ahead and do before SAC Anime Winter. Meanwhile, you over here.
Lindsay, I have something to tell you.
I know you lowered your prices.
I lowered my prices.
I know you lowered your prices. You lowered your prices like 2 months ago.
Here's the thing. I keep on saying I'll lower my prices, and then you and the tea lady keep telling me to higher my prices.
Of course you should.
So I never lower them. So I just leave them the same, right? But this time I did. Is that
didn't you you made it like a couple dollars cheaper because you found like a cheaper way to package your stuff? I think that's what I heard on the episode.
Essentially, yeah. Like I put
on the review episodes that I listened to prepare for this.
I found a better way to package my stuff, and a lot of other like Tim C will package his stuff in a box and then package that box in a box, and his stuff never breaks, right? But I haven't had anything break for a year. I've only ever had about 2 things break. And it's because I bought this rigid kind of roll that I put around my cups and mugs and whatnot.
I know what you're talking about.
Right, you've probably seen it in my studio.
Yeah, it's like a diamond cut, really like hard cardboard, right?
Yes, essentially. And that the main goal when you're packaging stuff is to get the energy that is transferred through the box, if it's hit whatsoever, to be transferred throughout the materials and not to the pot.
Right.
Right. I want no kinetic energy going to the pot. I want it to go to the packing peanuts. I want it going to the box or the material around it. So I have to pat it and make sure it's kind of floating and suspended in all of these materials. And once I figured that out, I was like, oh, my stuff just doesn't break anymore.
That's great that you've had like less breakage.
Well, I'm gonna lower my. I'm lowering the prices. Yeah. Listen. I sat down. I took a good look in the mirror, Michael Jackson style. And then I was like, objectively, what is my stuff worth? There's
no such thing as objectively pricing art.
I objectively did it.
That's a lie.
I figured out the math.
So you're telling me that you're denying your daughter future funds for her college?
I'll put my daughter in there.
That's what I'm gonna do, because
this is emotional hostage.
Exactly. You know what? Whatever it takes, because
that's unethical practices.
You know what? I agree with you, and I'm doing it anyway.
Don't agree with me.
No, I'm agreeing with you.
Like a normal person.
Absolutely not. See, here's the thing. You have a problem valuing yourself. We're gonna armchair and whatever this.
Sure,
is.
armchair.
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
What's your degree in?
Yeah.
Armchair.
Art. Anyway.
What are you gonna do with that?
Yeah. No, okay, so here's my thought.
Okay.
If you frame it in terms of because again, if you were talking about increasing, I don't know, literally tripling the prices for what they are now, I might be like, okay, Donte, you could probably slow that a little bit.
That's a lot.
But, steadily increasing your prices to keep up with inflation, to keep up with to recognize and value the years that you've spent in this field.
Yeah.
All of that, that extra money not only allows you to continue doing what you're doing, but that money also goes to your daughter because you're one of the breadwinners.
Yeah, of course. You got to roll that money. But hear me out. I've come to this conclusion. And I've talked about this earlier today. Pottery's not where the money is. Selling the pottery isn't where the money is. It's all the stuff around the pottery.
I think it really depends.
It's the classes and the T-shirts and the hats and the YouTube personality.
I think that's part of it, but I think you're oversimplifying.
I think that's most of it. I think it's like 60% of it's probably all the other stuff. But once you buy 3 cups, it's like, what are you gonna do? Buy more? What are you gonna do? Buy more cups? So your significant other is like, the cupboard's full, dear, and you're like, but I love the pottery, man. I don't know why I made just like an old English woman. I'm sorry. Unless you're an old English woman, in which spot on.
Yeah. Well, Birdie Tam did talk about how most of her sales do come from things that aren't pottery.
She's red-pilled. Birdie Tam's right, I think.
Okay. The thing is, that doesn't mean that you then lower your prices.
Yeah, I think what happened to me, and I don't know if this is just something that I'm going through right now, is I looked at some other people's art, and having the skill set and the craft check that I have, I looked at their stuff and I went, that's more valuable than most of my stuff. And I know that's a difficult equation to kind of math out, but I think in my brain, I was just like, I think the most I can probably charge for a mug with shipping on my website, there's a sale going on right now. It's the Christmas sale. So I took everything down by $3. Is like $56 seems to be the maximum I can sell for a mug, unless it's a really nice mug. unless it's like super nice, and that's with shipping. I've been charging like 58 to 60.
What is the data that you have to back that up?
Oh, here, wait, hold on. I'm gonna turn to a liberal. Are you ready? Like a left-winged one, right?
Okay.
It's based on my emotions, and you're not allowed to validate those, or else you're a bad person.
Oh, jeez.
Yup!
Oh my god. We're not gonna turn into one of these podcasts.
I'm one of those! I'm one of those!
Oh,
let me try it out for like 5 months.
Alright, well, I know
I need to find the sweet spot. But I think it's at like $56. With shipping. Not $56 plus shipping. Because my stuff is free shipping, quote unquote.
And to clarify for our listeners, so you're saying I can't sell my work for more than that. That's not based on people not buying your work. That's based on your not feeling like it's worth more than that.
Majoritively, yes. Majoritively.
Okay.
The other portion of it is that I'm just not selling as fast as I used to when I raised my prices. Mm-hmm. When my prices were lower, that stuff flew out the door.
Okay.
But I raised my prices quite a lot, actually. And now I notice that they're not selling as much. It's either that or the other variable, which is a very realistic variable. I will fully admit this is probably the actual variable that matters.
Which is?
I'm bad at exposure, so I'm really bad at posting.
That's actually something that came up a lot in the...
Super bad at posting. If I could hire someone to just post... If I could hire someone and just give them 100 pictures, right? And then say, hey, you have access to my Instagram account. I need you to post this with the proper tags once every 2 days, right? I would hire that person. If I could hire a social media person, just your job solely is to post and put the proper tags, do a little bit of research to find out what the tags are and how they're relevant to my community. I'm going to give you all this stuff because I'm much more in love with making things than I am with posting what I make. Much more in love with it. And I think that's a crux of most creatives.
We should do an episode on like when it's time to hire people for things.
Oh, you have some of that too.
Yeah. I think that could be interesting to explore.
Yeah.
I hear that. Yeah. All right. Well,
now that I'm saying it, yeah, I think so.
Speaking of social media, the other thing that I noticed from this last year was I was not great at posting consistently or answering messages this last year.
None of us are.
No. But I think what's kind of nice is like, okay, so this last like month or so, I've been trying to post a little bit more.
Same.
And what's nice is that I actually mentioned this a bit, I think in the mid-year review episode, but trying to re-engage with social media, not thinking about it in terms of like, oh, I need to like get the numbers and get the followers and get the engagement and get the likes. And kind of pare it back down to the idea of like, you know, it doesn't matter how many people see this. It's about like forming the connection and sharing information and just kind of, I don't know, just being a part of the community, so to speak.
Yeah.
And that has felt a lot better. Like it's felt like a much more genuine place to be coming from.
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah.
So, I have the same issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have the issue of always wanting to be ahead of the... Because like I have, it's like 12K on Instagram, and I make a post and it's like 200 people is usually, and it'll tell me like your reach is like 1,000 people, but 200 people liked the thing or commented on the thing. And I say this now, if you want a social media person to survive, or a business for that matter, you want to give them some sort of interaction, and that really is what counts on the internet, is what amount of attention you can give them, and it counts in likes and view time and comments. And those things are, of course, all free. You know, you comment people.
Shares as well are another big thing.
Shares are great, too.
Shares and saves.
And saves, yes. And, I mean, it doesn't really matter what you comment. As long as you want to support somebody, you can comment pee-pee poo-poo. It doesn't really matter.
I think, actually, there's, like, a word count thing. Like, it's better for the algorithm if it's, like, more than 2 words or, like, more than just an emoji. But ultimately, like, again...
Commenting at all helps.
Yeah.
That being said, I will fully admit that when I was on the community grind, when I was like, I only care about the people who care about me and my small amount of glaze research or what I'm doing at the time, it felt so much better.
Yeah.
If I would get 20 likes on a post and 20 people were like really with me, you know, and it felt genuine from across the world, it felt much better than getting like 300 likes on a reel because I'm over here pulling a clay handle and it looks like masturbation. Like, and people are like, haha, it's funny, double click. Like, it feels way better to get
Not that there's anything wrong with that, because that is funny.
No, it's definitely funny. There's nothing negative about it. It just feels more positive to me to have a more of a community interaction. And I think you're right about that. Like, it just felt so much more genuine to be giving to the community and for them to reciprocate, not like a thank you, but some interaction that felt genuine rather than like a heart that feels kind of like, I saw what you made. I saw the thing you put 2 days of work into for 5 seconds. Ha ha. Scroll, 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 scroll. It feels not disingenuous, but it doesn't feel as genuine as the service I provide to the community.
Yeah,
you know
I hear
what
that.
I mean?
I hear that, yeah.
You said that, and I was like, yeah, yep, 100%.
Yeah. I think for me, it's largely just not focusing on the numbers. Like, I used to kind of, especially when I was getting back into social media again after kind of, getting a bit of a hiatus, I would always be checking, like, oh, how many likes has this gotten? Or, oh, this story I posted, like, how many views did it get?
Yeah.
And I've been really trying to, not do that as much, and it's felt better. And it's like, and I'm still aware of, like, it still takes effort. Like, for instance, when I got my new slab roller, I almost was just like, I'm just gonna open this and it's gonna be fun. And then I thought, okay, but if I put this together, if I take a little bit more time to, like, film myself putting it together, then that counts as content, Like, that could be a good thing to do. And I still recognize that Instagram is a business tool. I think if I didn't need it for business, I would probably be on it less, and I would probably rarely, if ever, post.
100%.
But I'm trying to come at it with a different kind of perspective.
I think that last statement you said was, like, prolific, because I have very little interest in social media apart from contacting the people I need to contact, and then a business side of showing you my work so you might want to buy it from my website.
Yeah.
I have very, very, very little interest in social media as an actual avenue to be social with other human beings.
Yeah.
Because at this point, it does not seem that's what it is.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's, for us, it's kind of not. Like, there's a bit of that element, at least from what it sounds like. So, like, again, you've talked about, like, connecting with the folks on Galeezy on Instagram, and, and your YouTube, of course, has been just such an educational channel, but that's, like, other than kind of, like, those smaller connections, for us, it's, like, largely a business tool.
Yeah, there's a bunch of glaze makers I contact, and, like, that's the sociability that I want, right? But I think there's people in the world, and this might be a bit of an offshoot. There's people in the world who need to be social with other people. Like, they need to gossip and gab in order to feel some sort of place of community in the world, and I'm just not that.
Yeah, I mean, not to say that it's always, like, gossiping and gabbing, like, because that feels a little, like, poo-pooing on it.
Definitely. It's a person that talks at work while they work consistently, but, like, I go to work and I work and then I go home. But like, there's people at work that they must use this as they need to have some type of social interaction in order to be happy on some level.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely more on those lines. Like, I'd still consider myself an introvert, but, like, the pandemic showed me that, there are limits to that.
There are definitely that. And I maybe, like, if my friend Howie texts me once a week, I'm like, that was enough.
Yeah.
He texted me, yeah.
I'm so glad that, you were able to spend so much time with me doing our podcast. Makes me happy.
We get weird.
Yeah, we do get weird. We're pretty weird. Anyway, all right, so... So the other thing that I started implementing this past year that has worked well, especially during the, like, second half of the year, is doing, like, an 80-20 on producing standard designs and then new, like, stretching my creative muscles designs.
I see.
And because a couple years ago, I was trying to do a thing where, like, every month I'd come up with a new design, and that just wasn't. It was a lot. It wasn't sustainable. It was a good idea.
Once every 6 months, honestly, is good.
Yeah. I had a lot of fun doing the Cauldron series that I did, where I did 4 different kinds of spellcasters in different kinds of cauldrons. So that's where I did the Spore Druid cauldron with all the mushrooms. I did the Necromancer cauldron, which had the finger bones on it. And then I did the Blood Mage cauldron, which had, like, vein-looking things on it. And that was really fun. So I think that feels like a good split in terms of production for finding ways to still work on new designs, but primarily plan on having, like, all right, most of my work is just going to be the stuff I've already made.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm still in my critique group. That's going really well. We meet twice a month.
How's that going?
It's good. It's good. We basically, like, chat about business stuff. We ask questions. We kind of share our experiences with stuff. I'm just saying vague. I promise it's not a secret society. It's literally just, like, we talk about. It's a group of Let's see how many. It was like 4 or 5 other.
I think I've met them before.
Yeah, you have.
Yeah,
you have.
yeah. They're just people.
Yeah.
They're just people.
Yeah, when we talk about art, career, business stuff mostly. Every now and then we'll like ask for feedback on specific designs, but for the most part it's talking about business stuff. So that's going well. I'm gonna keep doing that.
It's so difficult for me to look at a group like that because I've met them and a lot of them seem to talk in a very like, well, I feel like this represents this and this and this. I feel like I would just come up to a thing and be like, what do you think about this? Just show them and they'd be like, well, no, fuck your feelings. What do you think about it? My feelings are what I think about it. What do you think about the red? Good or bad? Bad? Okay, I'm gonna go work on it. Like, just bad? Yes or no? Ones and zeros.
I mean, that's your communication style, which is okay.
That's fair.
Not everyone has that same communication style.
Yeah. Maybe I should change.
No, you don't have to. Oh my god.
Stupid.
Oh my god.
No, I'm not gonna do that.
Okay. Last thing is I am very happy that I have finally more regularly begun posting the Night Peddlers episodes.
Night Peddlers are good.
Yeah, they're so fun.
Support us on Patreon.
Yeah. If
get
you want to...
some of the Night Petties.
Yeah, get them Night Petties.
You thought it was dirty here? It's filthy over there.
Oh my god, yeah. It is uncensored and it's, I mean, honestly, not all of it's just us being like the perverts that we are. It's basically like, imagine Donte and I like sipping on brandy in front of a fireplace, like just talking about our lives. That's a lot of what it is. Sometimes there's ceramic stuff that comes into it. Sometimes it's like our recent Baldur's Gate adventures. But this is a little shout out for the Patreon. If you would like to participate in listening to those episodes as a member of the House of Stone, which is the $7 tier on my Patreon, then you can listen to those extra episodes. And there's what, 4, 5, 6, 7 now?
They're good, and they're longer. They're longer and they're
they're usually about 45 minutes.
A little more exclusive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A little bit more, we might be in a relationship after you listen to those.
Yeah. We're internet poly. Is that a thing?
Not Lindsey's making it weird, but
yeah, it's fun. So that has felt really good, like in terms of I feel that I'm not sure if this is just my like anxiety / depression brain saying this, but I feel like in general this year has been kind of unfocused. I have not been particularly disciplined this year, so it feels really good to, even though the Night Peddlers is a relatively small part of like what I do in my business overall, and what we do. Mm-hmm. Overall, it feels good to have been like, okay, this is a thing that like I've been able to show like more consistency on. So that feels good. That feels good.
Yeah, I'm happy about that. Yeah, the Night Peddlers, we did some episodes and then we just didn't release them for a long time.
Yeah.
And then they got released and people seem to really like them.
Yeah. It's really super fun to see. Oh yeah, and the Patreon, by the way, you can check the links in the show notes, or you can go to patreon.com/Lindsey M Dillon. All right, so back to you, Donte.
Me?
Yeah.
Are we done with your list?
Yeah, we're done with my list. That was my list.
Why did I make so many things?
Yeah. Oh wait, one more thing.
Yeah.
One more thing.
Give it.
Is basically I'm still not doing a lot of wholesale, and I'm gonna try and not overbook as much. So the other big thing for you this year has been teaching.
Yes.
Yeah,
no,
so...
I did start... I'm just going to tell them everything now.
Go for it.
So I started teaching at IMCO, the Industrial Mineral Company, which I love, by the way. Mm-hmm. I like their products, I like their clay, I like the schematics they give me on their clay. All their stuff is great. They had a very from the ground up studio that they were building, so it was very fresh when I got there. I got to get a lot of input in there. They're still really building it, and they give classes. It's a fantastic place, and I love to work at the place in which the clay is actually made and the minerals are produced in mines sometimes, right? That being said, somebody basically came along and was like, we like the way you teach. We want you to teach over here now. And I was like, I can't just leave this place. And they were like, slid me a little like...
That's the proverbial check.
Yeah, it's proverbial check.
Donte straight up got poached.
Yeah, I did. And they were like, how about that there? And then I took a tour of the facilities, and they let me know what's up and who I would basically be replacing. And I was like, okay, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm coming here. And then they put icing on the cake. And they were like, some of us listen to the podcast and watch your YouTube videos already. And I was like, oh. That's not good. It's either really good or not good at all.
Yeah,
no.
It really depends on the audience. That's the thing
Yes.
that was really, this is like a total side note.
Yes.
But like, that's one of the things that was the hardest thing when we first started this podcast is I was really worried about like who would be listening. Cause I mean, again, like, yeah, we get a little like saucy, not saucy, that implies that we're drunk. We're not. We get a little risque sometimes, I guess you could say. So, but we're not, I wouldn't say we're like that. We get a little spicy sometimes, but so there was always that fear of like, oh God, what if there's like a curator who listens to this and goes like, oh my God, these people.
Yeah.
So I was really worried about like the code switching aspect, like the white person version of code switching when it came to starting this podcast. But I've got a bit more relaxed about it now, and it's just like, okay, like I feel like we found a good balance between like being our spicy, crazy selves, but also not going overboard.
Well, people seem to really respond to the genuineness of us versus just being like, hello, this is the Night Pedal. Which there's a place and a time for that, but I feel like people don't connect with us as much if we're always putting on this wall of like ultra professionalism.
Yeah, we're edutainment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a word.
That's a thing.
That's a thing now.
Yeah, it is.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
But yeah, I went to this place and they explained what's going on and how much it was.
And they were saying they listened to the podcast and YouTube. Yeah.
And one of them was like, well, we know that you recently became a father and it's difficult to get your gym time in. And that, and so they were like, you can totally use our facilities. And I was like, facilities? And they I think the place, I'm just going to say it.
Okay.
It's called Sun City. Mm-hmm. It's a retirement home, but it's for active communities.
Yeah.
These people can still take care of themselves and still majoritively have their own houses. But it is a city within a city, right? It's not like just somebody put some in the middle of nowhere. Well, it kind of is. But it's really nice, and they have like acres and acres and acres of land. There's clearly finances going around, right? They have indoor, outdoor, a running track, a walking track, and a gym. And it's all like, if you live within this community, I think your quote-unquote rent pays for those facilities as well.
Nice.
Right? So that's added on top of that. So they were like, just so you know, if you're an employee here, you can use all these facilities for free.
God. So you're going to get built.
Yeah, I was like, what? And she's like, yeah, because usually you would teach a 3-hour class, and you take like an hour to hour and a half break, and then you would come back for the advanced class. Mm-hmm. And then you would go home. And then in between that time, if you want to swim, or you want to use the spa, or you want to... And I was like, all right, so I'm going here.
Yeah.
I guess, if you're just going to give me a free gym membership, pretty much.
Yeah, hell yeah, dude.
With a pool and a track and a spa, yeah, definitely, yeah. Oh. And they're like, good, we're glad, okay, we'll have you on board, thank you. So I no longer teach at the Industrial Mineral Company.
Yeah.
I sent them a letter and a text, and then I got my final quote-unquote paycheck from them, and I'm essentially done at IMCO.
Yeah.
Sadly.
Yeah. Why, I know we talked about this off air previously, but why did you decide to teach, why didn't you teach it both?
I just straight up don't have the time. Like, I can't.
It's not worth it for you financially to, like, have one day less at your proverbial 9-to-5 job?
I mean, I'm taking one day less my 9-to-5 job. I am.
Yeah, no, but I mean, like, to do, conceivably, like, let's say, hypothetically, you had 4 days a week that you were working at your 9-to-5. Again, I don't know what the number is right now. I mean,
it is 4.
Oh, it is 4. Okay.
Yes.
So, could, if you're already taking one off, why couldn't you take another one off to be able to teach? So you would be working 2 days a week at your 9-to-5 and then have your teaching.
I am doing that, but without the IMCO part. So how my schedule is built right now is that I work 4 days a week, right, at my 9-to-5 job, and then I have 3 days off. One of those days of my 3 days off, I teach at IMCO. So I really only have 2 days off.
IMCO?
IMCO.
No, I mean like now, like what your schedule is going to be. When you're teaching at Sun City.
It'll be... Okay, so back up.
Okay, sorry.
Let's pretend this is a week ago. A week ago, I worked at my 9-to-5 job, and then I worked at IMCO. I worked 1 day at IMCO, 4 days at my 9-to-5 job. That's 5 days on with 2 days off.
Okay.
Those 2 days are relegated towards YouTube, my daughter, family time, making glazes, making pottery, setting up tables, making content, things of that nature. Okay? Which are editing video, in and of itself, their own jobs. Okay?
Because you also... on those 4 days where you're working your 9-to-5,
yes,
you're also doing pottery on those days.
Yeah,
but it's like in between, like either before or after your shift.
And then God forbid I have to wake up and clean the house.
Yeah.
Like I have things to do.
Yeah.
So that's what's going on right now. Like 5 days a week, essentially right now. So starting next week, I will no longer be working at IMCO.
Right.
Right? And then I told my boss, hey, I'm taking Monday off. I don't want to work Mondays anymore. So that means I have 3 days at my 9-to-5 job.
Okay.
And then I told Sun City, I will take on 2 days. So now I have 5 days again.
Oh, okay.
Leaving me for 2 days off for family time and all this stuff. So I equaled them out.
Okay. Why don't you have... We're doing finger counting.
Yeah.
So you've got 2 days for Sun City. Why don't you take another one for IMCO and just have 2 days a week at your 9-to-5? So you'd be teaching...
Because IMCO doesn't pay me as much as my job does.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So financially, it doesn't make as much sense for you to... Like, the replacement isn't the same.
Yeah, so...
Is it worth it, though, in terms of, like... Because with IMCO, your shifts, your work time would be shorter, right?
Technically, but the payment is more at Sun City for the same amount of work. So at IMCO, I get paid for 3 hours of work.
Yes.
The classes at Sun City are also 3 hours of work.
Yes.
There's just more... There's 2 classes in a day instead of 1.
Right.
But I get paid for both those classes.
Yeah. I'm just thinking in terms of IMCO. Not that I'm saying you have to, but I'm just, like, curious about, like, the thought process.
Yeah.
Because, okay, so if IMCO... Like, let's say, okay, so you've got your 2 days at Sun City. That's not changing. For a third day of teaching, if that was at IMCO... Even though it doesn't pay as much as your 9-to-5, because it's fewer hours, could you use those other hours during that day as like, okay, if you have 6 working hours, 3 of those are going to be teaching, but those other 3 hours could be pottery. Like, could that offset the amount that you would be losing from not working at your 9-to-5?
No, not really, because making pottery makes more money than 9-to-5, but Sun City pays more than both. So I would, like, if I wanted to take it on an extra day, I would do another Sun City day.
Oh, okay. So it's just overall, you have a lot of teaching options. Like, you could, it sounds like you could almost work as many days as you wanted to at Sun City. Like, there's that much of a demand for pottery classes you could teach.
Not only that, they told me, well, might be a little forward, but they were like, in a while, we might open it up to more classes in a bigger room with more teachers. And I was like, okay. So theoretically speaking, please nobody from my job be listening to this. In like a year, Sun City might be like, hey, can you teach 4 to 5 days a week? And I'm going to say yes, and then I would not be at my job right now. I'd not be my 9-to-5 job.
Oh my God, at all?
At all.
Oh my God, you would be full-time in the world of ceramics? Holy
balls!
balls!
With a gym!
Yes!
I haven't been regular in the gym for like 2 years since I had my kid.
Oh my God.
Because like...
that was actually one thing that I was going to ask you about, because it showed up in the earlier review episodes. You were like, I got to get up at like 5 in the morning to go to the gym, and...
I can't do it every day.
Yeah, nah.
I can't wake up at 5 in the morning and be back by 7 to clean the house, to leave the work by 7:30. Because like I usually wake up and tidy up the house, and then like if I have time, I'll make breakfast, and then like, you know, give the wife and the baby, kiss goodbye, drive to work, maybe get Starbucks to fuel this American lifestyle, and then like go to work a 7 to 8 hour shift, get home, do pottery, do more cleaning, make dinner. Like I'm, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm doing an extraordinarily large amount of work for the amount of sleep and effort I put in.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to I'm trying to keep 2 days off a week. This is my main goal for next year at least. Keep 2 days off a week.
Okay.
And to make all of my work time more valuable than my 9-to-5 job time. And then invest money that I get from pottery into something that matters. Like, I have an investor, and my investor helps me invest money so it rolls over, so that I can have generational money.
Gotcha.
So my kid doesn't have to do what I'm doing now.
Yeah. That's a lot.
It is a lot, yeah. And that's my main goal for next year, is just to get more money out of the time and skill that I have. And Sun City has... the new place that I'm working at, has essentially allowed me to do that. They're huge. Like, hey, we will pay you more to do what you were doing at IMCO anyway.
Yeah.
The other thing is that I don't have to advertise. It is a closed community. You cannot walk into Sun City and take classes from me. You have to be living there in the first place.
Yeah.
So I don't have to post anything about this.
Oh, that's so nice.
I'm there, and they come in if they're interested, and if they don't, whatever, you know?
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Well, that was, shall we close it out, Donte? What's something you want to leave behind in 2023?
Your bad farts.
Yeah, that's fair.
Let's keep those back there.
Yeah, that's good.
Where they belong in the past.
And hopefully, eventually scrubbed from your memory.
I'm gonna get to heaven, and they're gonna be like, "You can't get in here. You haven't suffered enough to." And I'm like, "Hold on."
And I'm
gonna pull this deep core memory from Lindsey's anus, and they're gonna be like, "Oh, we're sorry, sir. Please walk right in, and I'm gonna strut in.
And that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of The Mud Peddlers. We would love to hear from you, so if you want to share your thoughts about the episodes or just see what Donte and I are working on in our studios, come say hi. You can find links to my social media at lindseymdillon.com. That's LINDSEY, M as in monster, DILLON.com.
And you can visit my pottery shop or see what I'm working on at earthnationceramics.com. And you can find me all over social media at Earth Nation Ceramics. It's spelled exactly how you think it's spelled.
And if you want to support the show, hear some bonus episodes, and see some behind the scenes of my work, you can support me and the show at patreon.com/Lindsey M Dillon. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next time.